So we are recording, and what I'm going to do is I am going to give a short introduction, and then Adaisha will get rocking and rolling. Very exciting. So let us see. And here we go. Can you all see my screen? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm Dorothy Suskin. I'm an associate professor at Longwood University and teach elementary and secondary classes, primarily in literacy. And I founded and direct our writing project, the Southside Virginia Writing Project. And a little bit to kind of tell you what that is. So, the Southside Virginia Writing Project is actually part of the National Writing Project, which started in 74. So, we just finished celebrating our 50th year. It was started by a gentleman, a high school English teacher named James Gray, and his belief was that great teachers of writing write and read, and then that they're the ones that are directing the professional development in their schools. And he later founded the Bay Area Writing Project, which was the very first writing project located at University of California, Berkeley, and is still going strong. Presently, if you can believe this, we have got over 175 writing projects across the country. There's a writing project in every single state. Virginia actually has more than most. We have seven. And I believe now we've got 12 sites that are international, which is super, super cool. And currently we have over 2,000 districts across the country that are involved in writing projects work each year. And then we serve, I believe last year we had over 80,000 hours of professional development. Can you believe that? Across all of the writing projects, not just ours, of course. And the other really cool thing is one of the writing things that writing projects do is they do writing retreats for young writers, they do writing competitions, they do young authors camps, and each year we serve over about 35,000 youths through writing project work. And the other thing, again, the National Writing Project, many people will say is the oldest and most successful professional development that we've ever had within the United States. And we have loads of professional writers that support the writing project. And I have a few up here that I know that you recognize, and they provide webinars and different support financially and through their own writing and work to give back to our program. And of course, in the corner there is Meg Medina, who is one of our own Virginia authors. She actually lives in Richmond. And then just a little bit about what kind of the National Writing Project stands for, and then our writing project being the Southside Virginia Writing Project. The idea is that great teachers of writing write, and that sounds like really obvious. I mean, you wouldn't have a basketball coach that didn't play basketball, but we do have writing teachers that don't actually write themselves, and through writing ourselves, that really informs our practice and our pedagogy. Also, believe that all teachers are teachers of writing. The writing project incorporates math teachers. Of course, we have our English and elementary, social studies, PE, health, you name it. And that the idea that there really is a pedagogy and a research base to the teaching of reading and writing. Some of the ways that we do this work is through the Summer Institute, which you'll often hear referred to as SI, also young authors camps, writing retreats, and PD. And perhaps, like most importantly, is this idea of teacher as leader, and that teachers are best positioned to be doing PD in their own schools, that we shouldn't be bringing in outside people. It should be teachers doing doing that work. And you're going to see that today with Adaisha. One of the things that vocabulary that we share across all our writing projects is that when teachers first become involved with the writing project, we usually call them teaching fellows. And then once they become acclimated and do work with us, we call them teaching consultants. So if you were to go to another state's writing project and say, I'm a teaching consultant with the Southside Virginia Writing Project, they would be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We'd love to have you here. So that's just the 2 cents about the Southside Virginia Writing Project. And now I want to get started with our main event. We have got Adaisha Gibson today. She's going to be talking about Socratic circles, engage, and empower. And Adaisha is the mother of a 4-year-old amazing, handsome boy who you can see right there in that fabulous picture. She graduated from Surrey County Public Schools in 2007. She then went on to attend Elizabeth City University in North Carolina, earning her BS in English. She went on, because that was not enough, to earn her MED in reading from Liberty University. She has now currently been an educator in Sussex County for 11 years. She began as a 5th grade teacher, went on to teach 11th grade English, and currently she is a reading specialist at the secondary level. And in her free time, I love this, she loves a trip to Target, hanging with friends and family, and a personal favorite, binge watching true crime TV and podcast. And this is a fantastic quote from Adaisha. I love being a teacher because I get to have a hand in molding the future. And isn't that true? So what I am going to do, my friends, is I am stopping to share my screen so the ever fabulous Adaisha can share hers. It's all you, my friend.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. And Dorothy, thank you for making me sound so amazing.
It's easy to do.
All right. So this morning we're going to talk about Socratic circles. In the classroom, I've been using the term spiderweb discussion, kind of interchangeable here. It works better for the kids. It fits with them a little bit better. So Socratic circles engage and empower. They foster critical thinking and communication skills. I'm not going to keep talking about myself, but since the slide is here, I love to talk about myself. Like Dorothy said, I started off as a 5th grade teacher. I taught all the subjects in 5th grade. The superintendent literally comes to my classroom. He's like, I need you in the 11th grade classroom. You want me to leave the 5th graders to go to the high school? Okay. So you could imagine how much of a jump that was, but we made it work. I love the high school. They have my heart. I'm now the reading coach slash specialist at the middle and high school. Since I've been in a position, I had to go back into the classroom as well, because you guys know the teacher shortage is real. So I had to encounter the lovely 6th graders as well as the magnificent 8th graders. Interesting ride. All right, so want to get us a little warmed up. I have a question here. How do you engage and empower the students in your classroom? So you can scan the QR code, you can join Slido, it gives you the number. I even have the link at the bottom of the screen. And I think I can also drop that in the chat. And send there. And I will pull up the polling so we can see those responses. All right. How do you engage and empower the students in your classroom? Can you guys see the responses popping up? Great. I was telling Dorothy, I am not a huge Zoom fan. This makes me very nervous, but we're gonna make it work. All right, so far we see quick writes. Interesting. Okay. Kind of give them that leeway to be a little creative. Choice. They love choice. They do love to make their own choice. And it kind of gives them more ownership once they do make their choices. All right. Oh, we have a lot popping up at once. Okay. Groups. Yes. I even did groups in the 11th grade classroom. I didn't even think that they would enjoy it. Oh my gosh, they loved it. Um, we have students teaching, small collaboration. Yes. Move this over. Reciprocal. Good. All right. Thank you for sharing. Did anyone want to elaborate on their responses? All right. I take that as a no. We'll go back here. Yay, I did it right. Okay, so a question, kind of rhetorical, but to get you thinking. What if every student felt heard, they felt valued, and intellectually challenged in every discussion? I often tell people, especially the teachers that I work with, even though our students they're young in age, and they are children, they still want to be heard and they still want to be valued. These babies have a lot of ideas, a lot of spark. Their perspectives are so different. So allowing them to have that platform to kind of feel that, to feel heard, to make your classroom more of a community, they will jump leaps and bounds for you. I have seen it happen. Seen it happen. So, the benefits of engaging and empowering. So, when I first introduced Socratic seminar or spider web discussions, it was at the high school level. That's my home. Those are my people. They are my team. So, I did a PD session with them to see how receptive they would be of it. The teachers, of course, enjoyed it. They implemented it. One teacher implemented the next day in her classroom and shared how much of a success it was. So, being that I was out of the classroom, it was just me kind of giving PD as theory. I didn't do it hands on with the students. So, it didn't take long because we had a little transition in the middle school where our sixth grade teacher, she left for the rest of the school year. So who goes back into her classroom? I do. Never taught sixth grade a day in my life. So that was interesting in itself alone. So I'm like, okay, well, I told the other teachers about this spider web. Should I try it with these sixth graders? Now in my mind, I know I'm like, these are babies, they're still babies. I still have the high school mindset. So I'm like, I don't know if it will work. I surprised myself and they surprised me. Those babies loved it. We were reading excerpts of I forgot what the book was. It's about the little boy who has Legos as a Christmas gift. I forgot the name of it. But we were reading that. So they read an excerpt on their own. After they read it, they developed their three questions, and I'll show you all of the formatted sheets toward the end. There are three questions. I told them that these questions could not be yes or no answers. They have to be a little bit more in depth. You want to get your classmates thinking about the text that they've read. So after they developed their three questions, we gathered up in a circle. That right there was the funnest thing in the classroom. I was like, okay, you're sitting in a circle. It's this exciting? Okay. I'll let you enjoy and bask in that for a moment. So they did. So as they're sitting in the circle, I write their names on a sheet of paper, the order that they're sitting. which you'll see in the middle. I write their names and I explain to them every time you share your input in our spider web discussion, your name will be, your name will get aligned and drawn to the person who responds. And we'll just keep on going back and forth. And at the end, we'll see what we come up with. Should be a spider web. And so they're like, a spider web? Yep, should be a spider web. And I told them I'm going to do these with every block. So we'll just see whose spider web is the best. And they're like, okay. I said, well, there is one disclaimer. You have to participate. If you don't participate, I have something else for you. And I held up a sheet. The sheet was a reflective essay. You guys know how kids are, especially sixth graders, with the reflective essay. So that compared to just sitting here and talking, we got everybody on board to talk. So there, we get in our circle, we're talking. I mean, the questions that these kids had was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Thank you for sharing. And then you'll have students responding and responding back. If you take a look at the picture in the middle, you will see that Slade did a lot of talking. Slade is over here. He did a lot of talking. Slade did a lot of talking because Slade is very opinionated and he is going to hold his ground. Now, what surprised me was the quietest kid in the classroom, her name was Isis. She actually participated. Now you see, she only participated once or twice, but she did participate. So as they're talking, they're having their conversation. I'm just sitting there walking around the circle with my notepad, just drawing the lines back and forth, back and forth. So of course I had to stop the discussion, which was a great thing. I had to stop it and I'm like, okay, are you guys ready to look at your spider web? It's not going to be a spider web, Miss Gibson. There's no way. You have to have an imagination. And so I turned the paper around and they said the same thing that I just shared with you. They weren't a little bit as nice about it. They said, Slade, you got to close your mouth sometimes. Like, you have to let other people talk. So that was a good takeaway. After that, we reflected on the discussion. I let them know how proud I was of them for being a little mature in the responses with one another. So after that, they said, "Well, Miss Gibson, can we do it tomorrow?" Tomorrow? I don't think we can do it tomorrow, but we will do it again. We will do it again. So that was a success there. I've also implemented it at the middle school as well with the teachers. There was one teacher who was a little resistant, um, but she came to me with a problem. She said, well, Miss Gibson, the kids, they don't pay attention, they go to sleep. I'm just not getting across to them. I was like, okay. So I visit her classroom every now and then, and I'm like, ooh, I see why. So one day I took my laptop in her classroom unannounced. I slid in the back of the classroom and I recorded her classroom participation. I mean, scanned the whole room, including her. After that, we sat down and we looked at the video. I said, "Do you see this?" And I kind of made the relationship with her. I said, "Your class is boring. That's why the kids aren't paying attention. That's why you have heads on the desk." I said, "But we can change this." Talked to her about the spider web discussion. We went through it, ran through it, got her text for it. She did it like every week. Every week, her class got so much better. She was excited. Of course, we had to implement more things, but I think the spider web discussion helped generate that belonging, you getting to know your students a little bit more well, and a little bit more well. Whoa, that was bad. A little bit better. Um, it also it allows you to see their perspectives. And even sometimes, kids have responses that aren't correct. But once you hear how they arrived at those responses, that gives you a moment right there. Let's talk about that. It's not correct, but I see where you're coming from. Let's go a little bit deeper and dive into it. And I always tell the students, if you can verbally tell me something about a text or write it out, then I know you've comprehended. You know what's going on. So that's why I find these Socratic seminars or Socratic circles or spider discussions very beneficial. Are there any questions? No. All right, so I basically already went through the steps with you on how we carried out our spiderweb discussion. I did not mention the anchor charts that I posted in the classroom. Everyone at the middle and high school has this anchor chart, text annotations. You know, with our new standards, these babies have to digest the text, they have to have evidence that they can back it up with. Our standards have gotten a little bit more rigorous. So every text that we read in the classroom, they have to annotate. Keep it simple. If teachers want to change it, they're more than welcome to, but they underline their main points. I make sure to tell them that we at least need a main point in every full paragraph. We need it. Words that you don't know, let's circle those. And once we go back through it, I usually run back through it on the Promethean board. There's a word you don't know, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about it, discuss it, use those context clues to figure it out. If you had a question about something, go ahead and draw that question mark beside the idea. We can revisit it and discuss it. If something shocked you or like, oh my God, I didn't know this was going to happen or what's next, exclamation mark. If you found some kind of connection in your text, you can draw your arrows to connect those ideas. So every student they have to annotate while they're reading and developing their questions. So on the left side, I think it's going to be opposite for you, but on the other side of the screen, you see the anchor chart accountable talk. So I'm going to be honest. I was not a fan of the anchor chart accountable talk. You have to remember that I came from the 11th grade classroom. So I'm like, everyone knows how to talk. What do you mean we have to have this posted so that kids can follow these stems? I mean, once it was used in the 6th grade classroom, I was like, okay, accountable talk will help. I think we're going to add that to our toolkit this school year. So I already put it in the pacing guide. It has to be talked about and discussed in our classrooms. I made an assumption that it would be okay without it, but we're gonna need that accountable talk. Any questions? All right. Well, now is the moment that you have to talk to me because we are gonna have a spider web discussion. So let's see. I have a text. I just hope that it works. Hmm, I'm gonna put it in the chat and share. I hope it works. I hope I shared it correctly. Please let me know once you are able to access the passage.
Adaisha,
I
you
did.
might need to change the privacy.
I knew it.
It happens to me all the time.
I knew it. I don't. I hope that helps. But it just says Sussex County. So I'm gonna go back to my email and just give it to you. There you go, Miss Pat. Share. Are you guys able to get it now? I know that there's a better way to do this. Okay, I think everyone good to go?
Yep, I think we're great.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna go back to the file. Done. All right, so it is our turn for this Socratic seminar. I'm going to show you the document that I would pass out to the students if they were present. And I don't mind sharing it if you're interested, just let me know. It's a template where they just basically write down their questions. Question one, once their question is answered by a classmate, they'll write their response and answer one. So they correlate. You can fill in the titles if you want or have them do it. Of course, you can have a topic for your Socratic seminar. Most of the time, I tell them to hang on to this one sheet and we'll do it on one day. And then the following week, we'll do another title. And of course, they're going to be paired texts. So they're going to tell me the similarities that they found within them. Um, I spoke to you guys about the alternative assignment. See how it looks compared to sitting there chatting with your friends? um, and all right. So once I give them the passage, everyone is quiet in the classroom, and I tell them, okay, I'm going to give you time to read and annotate your passage. This is high school level, not middle school. So don't you might get a little overwhelmed when you read it, but I love Henrietta Lacks. So I'm going to give you about 3 to 4 minutes to read and annotate your passage. Any questions? All right, let's read and annotate. All right, we have about 2 more minutes. All right, 1 more minute. All right. Has everyone finished their reading and annotating? All right. So as you guys were reading, I wrote your name. Well, you can't really see it. It's blurred, but I wrote your names down as if we were sitting in a circle. Okay. And so I would generally ask the question, who would like to start our conversation with their question? First question. This is a part where you guys have to talk to me. We have to engage and empower. Heather says she's in a public place. Cheryl says she's traveling in public. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to share?
I am wondering, um, were at the time were Henrietta's doctors, did they know that she had cervical cancer or was that diagnosis later?
The
Is that something?
diagnosis was later, because they had thought that they knew that she was sick, but remember the doctors weren't able to treat her because of her skin color, and they kept sending her back home until one day she couldn't take it anymore. She went in there. She was like, "I'm gonna wait until I'm seen," and then they found out that she had cancer afterwards.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the response, Regina. That was a good response. It sounds like you know the Henrietta Lacks story. Before I use this, did anyone else want to share before we go on? It would usually go back and forth where you draw the lines to the names to show the conversation, and then you will hold it up and discuss the talk and the perspectives, and of course, thank them for participating, make them feel comfortable, empowering them so they want to do it more, so that they want to feel valued and share their discussion. So thank you all for that. And I also want to say, Miss Regina made me remember before we started reading this excerpt, all I did was show them a news article. She had a statue erected not too long ago. And I just talked about the news article and then we dove into the excerpt and they just started making the connection. Um, Anyone have any questions? All right. Let me go back. Share. We're gonna close here.
Daisha, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What if you have that student, like you had mentioned with the student in your class that talks all the time, how do you scaffold that? If like, because it was beautiful that in your class the other kids kind of chimed in, but what if nobody says anything, but it keeps happening and you're happy that he's talking because that's amazing, but how do you kind of work with that?
That's a good question. So with Slay, we already knew. We already knew that he was that talker. So once I showed him how much he talked on the spider web, it's like, I appreciate your input, but let's share the wealth amongst your other classmates. And of course, he's a sixth grader. So the next time we did Socratic seminar, did he talk? No, he didn't. No, he did not. But he was also the type of person, he didn't really respond. He would just sit in the corner and mumble. So, oh, I heard you slip. There you go. I'm going to your name. So, of course, I had to pull him aside several times, to be honest, to talk about how conversations work. But, Dorothy, if I would have put that accountable talk anchor chart into place like I should have, we probably wouldn't have encountered that. That's what I think. But Slade and I also had the relationship as to Slade, just stop, just stop. But we had to work on what a conversation was with Slade. but he got better. He got better. Thank you for asking a question. Anyone else have a question? All right. And that is all I have, Dorothy. I have my email address there. I have my number to my office. If you guys are interested in any of the documents that I referenced, I put them in a folder. I'm more than happy to share them with you if you drop your email address. If you have any more questions about anything, just let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you implement it in your classroom this upcoming school year. It's very beneficial for those babies, and you will just be surprised. I see, does this work for any class size, 25 to 28? I've never, I've never had a class that big. Um, I had to jump into an eighth grade classroom this last school year. We did have more kids. It might have been about like 20 on a good day. We moved our Socratic seminar or our spiderweb discussion, we moved it to the library, which was also cool because the librarian was, oh my gosh, she loved it too. So she even joined in with the kids. So we had more space in the library, but I would definitely suggest with a class that big, accountable talk anchor chart, just so you could regulate the discussion. Thank you for asking a question.
And Adaisha, have you ever had luck with some of my college classes that have been really big? We did kind of a fishbowl. So we had kind of 10 people inside having the Socratic seminar. And then, the other, whether it was 15 or 20 on the outside.
Mhm.
Have you done that? And what are your thoughts about that
So
setup?
So I've been more at the middle school than the high school here recently because of our the teachers or whatever. Dorothy, that honestly makes me nervous with middle school.
I totally get it.
Now I could try for high school. I would definitely try there. But it's more than possible. But I think with the middle school babies, that's probably something we would get to like the end of the school year after we've done it a few times. I just see the tapping of the pencils on the back of the head, the all of that. But then again, I was wrong initially with Socratic seminar. I was prejudgmental, so I can try that. And I'll let you know.
That'd be great. What other questions do you all have? You can type them or just unmute yourself.
Oh, and I forgot to mention too, we've been working on the curriculum and the math specialist for the high school. She said, Adaisha, I think we're gonna have math talks. Well, there you have it. This could definitely be used across content areas, not just the English classroom.
So, Adaisha, that's amazing. What might math talks look like?
That's what we've been working on. I told her that the question has to be open-ended.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I have not had a math person to do it, but I definitely don't want to deter her from it. So I have to sit there. I have to understand a concept of math first on the high school level, and then we'll build it from there. But I told her question has to be open-ended, or maybe she could have a text that includes an underlying math problem, an elaborated math problem,
Yeah,
or
that's a
maybe include, they use the graphs that even taps on text features. So,
And Cheryl was asking, what are some good tips that you have for like that reluctant teacher that wants to give it a try, but they're a little nervous?
I found since being at the middle school that some teachers, well, most teachers don't like to share control in their classrooms. They just want to talk, 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 talk. Um, the first thing I did do with the teacher I spoke of, I recorded her classroom and I showed her how unengaged her students were. I also we walked across the street to the high school and she saw one of the high school classes in action with the Socratic seminar. Of course, we also did a PD session with it at the middle school and the high school. We even offered after school professional development, and that was another thing that we talked about. And let's see, how can I further describe myself? I'm the type of person that's gonna like, say for instance, Dorothy is the teacher that's reluctant, and I'm sitting with the rest of the English classes. So I go, well, Miss Sue, how did that spider web discussion go in your room? Because Dorothy hasn't tried it yet. You know? So we talk about the pros and the cons, but I do just try to stay realistic. Yeah.
So you think like partnering teachers sometimes, like if I'm reluctant, then maybe you could encourage me to come see you, it like see it in action?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am. We literally, during her planning block, we walked to the high school
That's
and we
great.
went straight to a classroom.
I
Mhm.
love that. And Cheryl was saying they've used accountability talk and score and had some really good success with that.
Yeah, those do coincide very, very well. I'm just scared of this accountable talk. I think Cheryl with the accountable talk, I'm gonna have to explore that anchor chart with the teachers too.
And I'm with you. I use accountable talk even with my college students because sometimes they don't realize, how to build off different not just say something brand new, but to build
Mhm.
off the person before and to ask questions that are text specific.
Yeah, and it's like I had to get out of my high school mindset because that's how I ran my classroom. It was full of discussion. And of course, it took us a while to, get used to how conversations work or how you should talk to one another, but I never thought about putting up an anchor chart. And so when I went to the middle school, I'm still in my high school mindset and I'm like, wait a minute, we have to do something different. So we are implementing, we're going to slow roll it with accountable talk first, and maybe by like second semester, we'll slide in score. I'm going to have to reach out to other teachers and see how that worked in their classroom too, in different districts.
Do you want to say more about SCORE for folks who might not know about that?
It is an acronym. I don't want to say it wrong. I have it.
I remember you showed it earlier. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
It's okay. I just don't want to tell you wrong. And we actually got the toolkit from our TTAC representative. She is amazing. There we go. Communication and collaboration. Share ideas, complement them, offer help or encouragement, recommend changes nicely, exercise self-control. So you see how it intertwines with that accountable talk.
Yeah.
We visited Matoka Middle School a couple weeks ago, and we had more exposure. Some of my coworkers from the district actually came, and they had more exposure to SCORE. And they were like, "Well, Gibson, can we implement this at our school?" I was like, "We have to get accountable talk done first, I think, and then we can move." But we're definitely gonna add it in.
And Adaisha, have you had luck or have you tried? I've tried different kind of renditions of having each student have whether it's three colored tiles or three teddy bears or different things. So each time they talk, they like move a tile or a teddy bear forward, and to try to encourage everyone to talk at least three times and to give different people a chance. Or there's certain philosophies that I don't share a second second time before everyone is shared once. But then some folks say, well, that kind of messes up the authenticity of the conversation, which I think is a really good point too. What do you think professionally?
So we have not implemented such strategy, but I've definitely seen it in action. And I kind of agree with your latter part of your statement. Like, does it take the authenticity from the conversation? You know, but to each his own. So that's why also when we do the PD, bye Cheryl. Oh, she's gone. Once we when we do the PD also, I do show various videos about it. Well, glad you brought that up.
Great. Well, as we wrap up, are there any more questions for Adaisha?
Thank you all for coming.
All right. Well, fantastic.